The film begins in a cold, brutal setting along the North Korean border. It is an eerie, gray morning, and a young woman, Evelyn Salt, is being held captive. Her face is bruised, her body battered. She is chained and interrogated harshly by North Korean soldiers who believe she is an American spy. They accuse her of espionage and demand that she confess. Despite the intense physical and psychological torture, Evelyn remains silent and unshaken. Her resilience is evident in her steady expression and the way she endures each blow. Soon after, American officials stand on one side of a bridge, and North Korean military officers stand on the other. A prisoner exchange is about to take place. The Americans have agreed to trade a captured North Korean agent for the release of Evelyn Salt. Evelyn is released and limps across the bridge toward her people. She is stunned. She didn't expect this outcome. As she reaches the American side, she sees Mike Krause, the man she loves. He had worked tirelessly behind the scenes to secure her release. Mike is not a government agent. He is a spider expert, an arachnologist, and his relentless pressure on the CIA had eventually forced them to act, even when they normally would not negotiate for captured operatives. The story jumps ahead by 2 years. Evelyn Salt now lives with Mike in Washington, D.C. They share a quiet, seemingly normal life. She works for the CIA under a cover identity at a front company that appears to be a petroleum corporation. Her cover keeps her close to national security operations while remaining hidden from the public eye. At work, she is calm and efficient. She operates under the radar, respected by her colleagues and trusted by her superior, Ted Winter. Salt has built a reputation for professionalism and expertise, particularly in Russian affairs. Her time in the field has made her resourceful and sharp. Despite everything, the trauma of North Korea seems to linger just beneath the surface. That day, everything changes. A man named Orlov, an aging Russian defector, walks into the CIA front building asking to speak with someone who specializes in Russian intelligence. The agency decides to entertain him, and Evelyn is called in to conduct the interrogation. Inside a heavily monitored interview room, Evelyn sits across from Orlov. On the other side of the glass, her colleagues and superiors observe silently. The atmosphere is thick with curiosity and tension. Orlov begins to tell a story about a secret Soviet-era program. He explains that during the Cold War, Russian intelligence agencies developed an elite training operation. Children were taken at a young age, groomed, educated, and shaped into perfect deep cover agents. These children would be planted in the United States with American identities, growing up alongside real citizens. Their mission was to wait patiently, blending in, until they were activated for special operations. As he talks, Salt listens carefully but remains professional. She has heard stories like this before: Cold War paranoia, propaganda, and psychological tactics. Then Orlov reveals a disturbing detail. He claims that one of these sleeper agents will soon assassinate the visiting Russian president during his stay in New York City. The president is due to attend the funeral of the US vice president, and Orlov says this moment will be used as an opportunity to strike. He leans forward, looking Salt in the eyes, and tells her the name of the sleeper agent. He says it is Evelyn Salt. Salt is visibly stunned. The room watching behind the glass also erupts in tension. Ted Winter, her colleague and close friend, immediately pushes back. He says that Orlov must be lying. Salt has a long history with the agency, her loyalty is unquestionable. But the accusation now hangs in the air like a storm cloud. As protocol demands, the CIA security team prepares to take Salt into custody for debriefing and observation. Salt tries to remain calm, but she starts to grow worried. She asks to contact her husband, Mike, to make sure he's okay. When the team tells her that they've dispatched agents to pick him up and bring him in for questioning, Salt becomes uneasy. Something about this situation feels wrong. Then, Salt makes a sudden decision. She knows something is off, and she can't risk Mike being caught up in this mess. She breaks free of the agents, using her years of field training and combat skill to fight her way out. A fierce chase begins through the CIA building. Salt moves with speed and precision, dodging bullets, setting traps, and avoiding capture. As she disappears into the city, one thing becomes clear. Whether she is innocent or guilty, she is now on the run. The entire intelligence community is after her, and the line between truth and lies has begun to blur. Evelyn's breakout immediately triggers a citywide manhunt. Every agency is now after her, and her former allies, including Ted Winter and Agent Peabody, are torn between stopping her and understanding why she's running. From the outside, she looks guilty. But there's something in her behavior that doesn't add up. As the chase moves into the streets of Washington, D.C., she hops onto moving trucks and uses her knowledge of escape routes to stay out of reach. Salt eventually makes her way to New York, where the Russian president is attending the funeral of the US vice president at a cathedral. The CIA and Secret Service are on high alert due to the defector's warning. Despite tight security, Salt slips in through the crowd. Inside the cathedral, she finds a hidden spot in the upper levels of the building. There, she assembles a makeshift weapon from materials she smuggled in. Suddenly, a shot is fired. The Russian president falls, apparently dead. Salt is finally captured by the authorities, and the agencies now believe she truly is a Russian sleeper agent who has just assassinated a foreign leader on US soil. Peabody and other agents are furious and confused. Her actions appear to confirm her guilt, and yet her motives remain murky. While Salt is in the back of a police transport vehicle, handcuffed. She then shifts her weight and launches an attack. She slams her cuffed hands around the neck of the officer beside her, using her feet to kick open the side door. The vehicle swerves as the officers lose control, but Salt doesn't wait. She gets out of the car and darts into the crowd before backup arrives. The scene cuts sharply to a flashback. A man known as Orlov, the leader of their Russian spy program. His voice echoes as he speaks to Salt, telling her that one day, they will be activated to serve Mother Russia. He kneels before young Evelyn and reminds her to trust no one. He tells her she must grow up and become one of them from the inside. Her mission will be clear when the time comes. Until then, she must pretend to be one of them. Back in the present day, Salt walks with purpose through an abandoned junkyard. Her clothes are different now, tactical and worn. She's greeted by Orlov, now much older. He steps out and walks toward her with arms open wide. He smiles and tells her that she is his greatest creation. He leads her into a hidden facility beneath the yard. Inside, the air is cold and the walls concrete. Other Russian sleeper agents wait in the shadows, grown men and women, trained killers who were once children in the same program. Orlov turns to Salt and explains that this is the moment they have all been waiting for. But before Salt can respond, two agents kill Mike, her husband. Orlov tells Salt that her attachments must be severed. Salt freezes. Every breath is a storm inside her chest. She looks around the room and sees the faces of those she once trained with. Rage starts to boil inside her. Orlov smiles again and begins to speak of the mission. He tells her what's coming next. But before he can finish, Salt lunges forward. She grabs a whiskey bottle and drives it straight into his throat. Salt is already in motion. She grabs one of the guns and opens fire. The room becomes a blur of violence and vengeance. One by one, she eliminates her former comrades, exacting brutal retribution for the death of her husband. Later, Salt meets another sleeper agent, Schneider, one of the few remaining operatives from her program. They meet on a plane and prepare for the next stage of the plan. Schneider briefs her on the upcoming mission. They are to assassinate the US president. He tells her that he has deep White House connections and can get her into the building. Salt remains silent, her mind focused. She agrees to go along. That evening, Schneider and Salt, now dressed in military uniforms, arrive at the White House checkpoint. Salt is disguised as a high-ranking male Russian lieutenant. Her documents are flawless, her posture precise. They pass through security without raising suspicion. Inside the grand halls of the White House, Salt's eyes scan the environment. She's not just infiltrating. She's planning. Elsewhere, the CIA are told of a potential attack on the president and they immediately cover him. Meanwhile, Salt removes her disguise and steps out of the restricted hallway, now fully exposed as herself and no longer in the male Russian officer uniform. She races through the corridors of the White House, zigzagging through agents and staff, all while alarms continue to ring throughout the building. She forces open the elevator shaft that the president is being lowered in, then grabs onto the cables and slides down, her face filled with determination. Meanwhile, in the elevator below, CIA agents are rapidly escorting the US president through the building. They reach a steel blast door that leads to a high-security underground bunker. As the door begins to close behind them, Salt slips in just in time, rolling past the barrier a split second before it seals completely. Inside the bunker, the president begins to understand the severity of the situation. He believes the Russians assassinated their own president on American soil and now fear that America will retaliate. Convinced it's an act of war, he issues an order for all US military bases worldwide to prepare for full-scale retaliation against Russia. In another part of the bunker, Salt moves through the reinforced corridors and makes her way to the central control room. Inside, chaos erupts. Ted suddenly turns on his fellow agents, pulling out a firearm and executing nearly everyone in the room in a brutal ambush. Only the president remains alive. Ted forces the president at gunpoint to remain calm and obey his instructions. When Salt arrives at the control room, she's stunned to find most of the agents dead and Ted still standing with the president. She storms in, her eyes fixed on Ted. He calmly admits to her that he is also a Russian sleeper agent. He smiles, fully believing in the mission. Ted explains his plan. He has already issued a strike order on Iran, framing them as an accomplice to the Russian conspiracy. He says that once the US attacks Iran without provocation, the rest of the world will retaliate, plunging the planet into World War III. It's all part of the plan they were trained for. But suddenly, the live news feeds across the monitors in the control room begin broadcasting a shocking update. The Russian president is alive. He had not been assassinated after all, he was only injected with a neurotoxin derived from spider venom that mimicked death, but wore off after several hours. Salt had faked the kill. It was never her plan to complete the Russian mission, she was trying to bring it down from the inside. Ted realizes the truth. Salt is no longer a loyal operative, she's been working against the Russian sleeper program all along. He glares at her and vows that every life lost today will be blamed on her. He turns back to the controls, but Salt lunges at him, and a vicious fight breaks out between the two former allies. Salt manages to wrest control of the system and shuts down the missile launches just seconds before impact. But her victory comes at a cost. Reinforcements from the CIA burst into the room and shoot her in the back to neutralize the threat. She collapses but survives. Agents quickly move in and take her into custody. As she's being cuffed and pulled away, Salt sees Ted still alive. She breaks free just long enough to kill him, ensuring the threat is gone for good. Peabody escorts Salt and begins questioning her in the helicopter. He's rattled by everything that's happened. He asks her why she killed Ted. Salt remains quiet for a moment, then calmly tells him that Ted was about to start a global war, and that he was a double agent all along. Peabody looks at her with uncertainty, but deep down, something about her story rings true. He always had a gut feeling there was something off about Ted. And now, it all makes sense. While on their way to a maximum prison, Peabody makes a choice. Quietly and discreetly, he unlocks Salt's handcuffs and whispers for her to escape. Salt hesitates for just a second, then jumps into the river. She's now a fugitive again, but one with a new mission: to hunt down and destroy every remaining sleeper agent still active in the world. Make sure to like and subscribe for more notifications. Until next time. See you soon.